So, what is today's session about? Today we're going to talk about determining the best work view, and namely, I'm going to show you all the functionalities and possibilities of your work view in WRIKE. Our session will take approximately 20 to 30 minutes, of course, depending on how many questions you're going to have. So don't be shy. Explain your case, describe it, and I'll do my best to demonstrate the answer in my demo account. So let's move on. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Daria, and I'm WRIKE Product Guru, and on top of that, I'm a business coach. I've been with WRIKE for about 2 years now, and initially I joined as a support team member, meaning that I've been answering all sorts of questions, starting from very technical ones, ending up having real consulting sessions. And now I'm doing my best to help our teams to onboard successfully. And of course, to make sure that their teams are also successfully adopting WRIKE in the most efficient way for their organization. So what you will learn today, since Ask the Expert is a very narrow session, we are going to mainly focus on the best view for your tasks, how to work within each work view and what is a specific feature of each of the views, and how to set a default view on a folder level, depending on what is more preferred for you. All right, let's move on. So before we get started and I move to my demo account, first I would like to remind you of the essential framework of WRIKE. Perhaps you have already heard about it, and in case you have attended any additional sessions that we have, and we have plenty, then this is what we cover during our sessions. So what is the essential framework of WRIKE? What does it have? So this is basically how WRIKE works. It's a folder, project, and a task. So folder is your key container. This is your main brick of building your structure of your organization, your team, your processes. This is your key organizer. It could be your private organizer or it could be your team organizer. Color code for better and higher visibility, and of course, keep the logics clear whenever you start creating a folder tree. Project is a type of a folder. So basically, it is the same container, but it has a start and finish dates. You can have an owner. You can set the status of the project, and remember to keep only relevant tasks per project. And so finally, a task. What is a task? Task keeps a track of all changes. So this is your main working unit of WRIKE. This is how you get your things done, and this is how you know who is in charge. And remember that task is an actionable item, so you always must complete your tasks because this is an action that you need to fulfill and complete. And today we're going to focus only on a task, so how to view a list of tasks in multiple ways on a folder level. Okay, so you are ready? Let's move ahead. And of course, I would like to get a small insight, a bit of your background, where you're coming from. So here I will launch a poll. So please let me know which view would you like to learn more about. Because your levels, it may be very different. You could be a very advanced user of WRIKE, or you could be just a beginner. So please take your time and answer this simple question of which view you would like to learn more about. So there are multiple options. You can choose as many as you like. So it could be list view, board view, table view, timeline view, or workload view. Okay, I see all the answers. Thank you very much. Surprisingly, today we have a leader of the workload view. That is great to know. So thank you very much. I'm closing the poll now. In case there's something else you would like to learn more about, then please let me know in the question box, so this session would be more customized based on your needs. Okay, so since it's a workload view, let's focus on it. But of course, first let me quickly go through each of the views. Perhaps you do not know about them. I will go to my company structure and I will use creative workflow as an example. So let's take a look. Banner ads request. What this workflow is all about? Our marketing team is actively working with banner ads requests, and mainly those are tasks with image files. So let's take a look. For example, Ryanair June Scandinavia sales. A customer has uploaded a mockup that they would like to see on their campaign. So there is an image file attached to this task, and marketing workflow consists of multiple phases. So the first request, when it just comes in, it's in the stage new, then it moves to in progress, then it's waiting for review once the basic work was done. Once it is good to go, it is marked as reviewed good to go. So original signee can take his work back and move on. If, however, somebody is not happy with the content, with the result of an image file, it could be marked as reviewed changes required. So it moves back to the original assignee so he could add additional changes. And once it's delivered, it's delivered. And template, we're using the status only for some templates that we use for additional type of works that we have. So knowing the key workflow, the key process here, what would be the best view? Of course, board view. Because in board, manager or any user can quickly switch to this view, and it would split your tasks by columns per each status that you have. And you see the same status as new, in progress, waiting for review, reviewed, good to go, etc. If, however, you want to see any additional workflow or statuses, you can do so by clicking on this additional button and selecting any additional workflow in case you're using them in this on this folder level. For example, template is not relevant for this folder. I will hide it. And by the end of the day, let's say I'm a traffic manager or I'm a project manager, I have reviewed all the tasks. So those that are waiting for review, I will quickly rearrange them. Some are good to go, some requiring some changes. The new task, let's say Comcast Spring Campaign, it's right now has a higher importance. We see an image file. I will move it to progress because now we are still working on it. If, however, I did not have time to start working on it, or I feel like it's still new, I will put it back to new. And by the end of the day, I can quickly arrange all of these tasks. The second one, another option, and of course, if, for example, this is the most convenient way to view your work, to monitor it, you can set this type of view as default. This would apply to the entire account. So right-click, set default view, and you see it is highlighted in blue, which means that this view will be always existing on this folder level. Once I go back to creative, it will switch back to the list view, as you can see now, right? So I will hide. There are some tabs that actually should not exist here, so I will remove it from the top level folder, just a minor change. If I switch, however, to the block view, again, we see the same thing. It is the list view because this is the most convenient way to get access to these tasks. Let's take a look at events type of the folder. Events, this is not something that I would like to have the list view off. So I'll take a look at the customer dinners, and we have Silicon Valley dinner. So I will show subfolders, content, and we see there is a list of tasks. It doesn't give me any idea. What is the main focus here? We are focusing on the budget, and let's say from a manager's perspective, I need to see the numbers. From a user perspective, I need to see the sequence, I need to see the deadlines, and maybe add some additional fields on this level. What would be the solution? Table view. So once I switch to the table view, those who love Excel, that would be the best option for you, because here it would sort tasks starting from the top level. So this is the project that I'm currently in. It would show you each subfolder, giveaways, invites, site. You can always hide them in case you don't want to see them. So from the top level, you get a really nice representation of all the data. Here we have budget, we have actual cost. These custom fields exist on a project level on each folder right here. So it picked the sum across all these folders. Excellent. And now we see also actual cost. So right now we can add any sum here as well. We can add any additional column. So the table view would be the best solution for you to focus on specific value. If you want to sort by this value, if you are mainly working with values. And speaking of which, when we are going to switch to the workload, table view actively collaborates with the workload view. How and why so? You can see that here I have allocated hours. This is a beta custom field. And once I add allocated hours, let's take a look how that will work. For example, design the thank you note. I will stretch it a little and I will open this task. So let's see. The duration is 8 days. It is assigned to Peter. Design the thank you note. Excellent. And let's say I want to dedicate 2 hours in total. Let's take a look of how this would look on the workload view. So I will make it even better. I will go to giveaways. I will filter by Peter so we can see how this result will look like. Peter, where are you? Peter, okay, I'll just type it in. Yeah, Peter Gibbons. And now we see all his tasks that he is currently working on. And we see that designing the thank you note is taking just 2 hours across the entire span. So he can work as many hours as he wish, but this is a required one. And the workload view, since we switched to this view from the table, you can always filter. Filtering applies on all views. This is what you might have already noticed, because we always need to sort tasks. Because on a folder level, there is a list of tasks with different assignees, different statuses, different time frames, and we often need to filter it. So it's up to you. For example, I need to see all team members, and I will switch on a higher level to events. I will hide my folder tree. And now I want to see only active tasks, but also you can select all new tasks in progress to see what's going on. But since events is not using this workflow, I will only switch to all active. Great. Well, we see that there are a lot of tasks, and for some reason, Samir, he has tons of those. Well, he decided to have a lot of work. Fantastic. But I want to help him. And Milton as well, so I can easily reassign a task from the workload view. I can easily pull it up to Anne to schedule it accordingly. I can also, and we see that she's going to work every day for 8 hours. I can easily stretch it to 1 day, so she will be working entire day on this task, or I can stretch the duration. The same with develop the blog post. I can assign it to Eli or to Joanna because I think that this would be a nice work for her to do. So every day for 8 hours, she's going to work on this task. But let's go to the table view. And using the allocated hours, we can also put the percentages if we need, but I don't like percentages, or to use, as I said, allocated hours. So there was one task to which we decided that is going to take only 2 hours. And the one for Joanne, we can also add an additional amount of hours. So how many hours we think she needs to dedicate. Great. So knowing how the workload works, another advantage here is that if there are any unassigned tasks, and for example, I would put this one into task has been changed. Nope, undo. For example, I will go to the list view. And to make it easier, I will go to Site. And I will leave this tasks unassigned. So I will remove this assignee, unassign, and I will switch to the workload view. And from here now we see that at the bottom of this page, there is a category for unassigned tasks. This is another way to monitor all the jobs that has been unassigned and easily, because if something is unassigned in WRIKE, that means nobody is taking care of this particular task or a job. So we need to make sure that this is not going to happen, and we can easily assign these tasks. But in more details, we are talking about resource management during our Wednesday session, which is the day after tomorrow. So please, if this is a very common topic for you to allocate hours to know how resource management works in WRIKE, then please register for the session, and you will learn a lot how to mainly work from the workload view, how to use the time log, and of course, how to allocate hours. So once you saw how the workload works, next is the timeline. Right now, we have a new timeline view, which is actively being developed, but I'm still sticking to the old timeline because right now the functionality is not fully transmitted to the new timeline. So let's focus on the timeline. As you see, it has a very similar logic. Basically, it exists on a very similar, it has the same interface. And I will show you the timeline from the webinar perspective. So what is a webinar folder about? I run my webinars on a weekly basis, and per each webinar, I have a dedicated project. So let's take a look at the 16th of October webinar. This is the most convenient way for me to work because here I can see my project. So this is my webinar project. We see it by horizontal line on top. I will zoom it out slightly, and here we see a set of tasks that I have. From the timeline, it's the best way to start creating dependencies. Why? Dependencies is a great way to connect your tasks so they're never lost. Their dates will be tightly connected to each other. It could be dependency from start to start, finish to start. Let's say I will create a new task, which would be a feedback task. Feedback and summary. I will schedule them because the key thing about the timeline, if your task is not scheduled, it will not show up on your timeline, which is logical because timeline only shows you the real time and how this task really, that it is scheduled. So I will set both for today. And once I switch to the timeline, I can see now, and you might wonder, and I see a question. Let me check. The sound is constantly cutting out. Is that an issue on my end? Thank you for letting me know. Let me double check if my internet connection is stable or not. Please give it a try for another 5 minutes and let me know if you feel that it has gotten better or not. If not, then apparently this is on your end or on my end. Okay, so and also other team members, those who are right now listening to this training, please let me know if you also have any difficulties with the sound. Okay, please let me know so I would be aware of any technical issues that I have. Okay, thank you very much. And also on top of that, this session is recorded. So please let me know if you would like to get a recording of the session. So I will provide you with a link to the full recording of today's session. Okay, so a small interruption. Let's go back to our timeline view. And we can see here that I have a set of my tasks. I have finished to start connections. So that means that depending on who is the assignee of this task, once brainstorm for ideas is completed, the next assignee of the task writing a script will get a notification that brainstorm for ideas was completed. You can now start working on your task. This is the first advantage of having dependencies. The next one is whenever we have large projects and dependencies across folders, which is also possible, And let's say your customer or your manager came to you and said, we need to change the dates. How would we do that? In order to change the date, you need to have your milestone. You can also pull any task, but once you pull one task, it will not change the entire dependency chain. Of course, you can play with the first task and it would shift all its dependent tasks further. But the last one, well, we often do not know, or it's not even convenient for us to change the start date of the first task because we usually know what is a deadline. And by moving the last task, everything the rest will not move. So set your deadline as a milestone on the timeline. Click on the Shift key and drag and drop it on your timeline. Once you do this, the entire chain of dependency, regardless of how complex it is, it would move accordingly. And I can pull it back easily. However, I have orphan tasks over here. They do not have a dependency. They are scheduled for Monday. I can also reschedule them. I can set their durations. For example, summary, I think I can work for 2 days on this task. So I will reschedule it. Or, for example, once the webinar is hosted, these are 2 tasks that actually need to have start to start. I can simultaneously start working on this task. And I can also pull a dependency start to start from the milestone. Or actually after it, because it will be more convenient. Once the webinar is over, it will take a little bit of time to get the feedback and to write the summary. So, and this is my deadline. So these are the post tasks. And once the webinar is completed, I will get a notification that I can start working on the feedback and summary. So in my case, I remember there were some customers who were actively using Timeline, and this was their main work view, simply because they had a lot of tasks across multiple folders. So they were viewing it from the higher level, and in my case, the higher level is webinar, and they had cross dependencies across different projects. So you can always draw a dependency to any task from any project, as you can see from here. So play around, create a folder or multiple folders in your sandbox. So you can create a folder sandbox just to test it out. Create as many tasks as possible, see their behavior, because dependency set a specific behavior, and there are 4 types of dependencies, right? And also, please let me know in case you have any questions. So if you're ready to share your use case, if you are happy to demonstrate your account, or you would like me to show something else, then please do so. I'll be super happy if you will actively engage. Okay, next, time log. Time log is for those who really love tracking the time. So let's say we will go back to our creative workflow, better ads request. Oftentimes, actually, we need to input how many hours we spent working on a particular task. For example, you've been spending 3 hours on a particular image file, and you need to track it. So let's say I will go to Reiner, Scandinavian Sales. I will add an entry. Let's say modifying image file. I will put 3 hours, and let's say I forgot to mark it on Friday. I will add entry. Let's say 4 seasons. Once I input the time, it means that I have worked on this task. You can never input a time for somebody else. And from the comments, you can see that Daria, she has worked on this task for 2 hours. Let's go to the time log and see how that looks from there. Since the time log, the main filter, as you remember that the REST views, the filter is all active and assignees all. While on the time log, it is mainly the funnel where you can filter by an assignee, and the time frame. These are main 2 categories of how we can filter our tasks. So let's say the time frame, I want to view it from the beginning of September and see what and who has been working. Since I only have inputted two options, well, two slots here for 13th of October and October 16th, I can see that the person, it's myself, hours 2 and 3, tasks title, comment, so what exactly I've been doing actually during these 2 hours or 3 hours. And here you can see time entries for this particular task, or you can also delete the time entry. So this is more suitable for those who work on hourly basis. Also from the table view, you can add additional custom fields. For example, you can also have the time spent over here. So we would see here all the inputs for how many hours somebody has been working on tasks, and to also separately view it from the time log. And stream. Stream is basically your newsfeed from the entire WRIKE. You can here filter by everything that you follow, so it will be more personalized. Every task, every single detail, and we see that right now I will see the last changes, that here I worked for 2 hours, updates from today, and that I worked for 3 hours, updates from today. Or I can also filter by everything. So here will be all the tasks regardless of if I follow or not, but something that I'm shared on. Or, for example, only what I'm assigned to me, because this is much more important. Or my conversations. My conversations, again, this is where you performed particular actions. And lastly, analytics. Analytics is something that not so many users are aware of. Of course, this is a higher level depending on your role within your team or organization, from where you can access the view of tasks in multiple ways. So, what are these fields? You can always add a chart, and there are multiple ways, multiple options. Could it be performance, work progress, tasks by users, baseline, and there are 2 coming soon. The baseline is something where you could compare originally set date with the one that is right now, the actual date. Performance chart would show you all tasks which are planned, that are due, that are total completed in a chart. So you can just track the progress of your users in WRIKE. Are they actively using WRIKE? You can also check the stats per each day that you need. And you can always change also the sequence of your tasks. The baseline, here we see that no changes has been done to tasks. They're all scheduled. You can also see the color of a status. Work progress, here you would see already most active users. And she has 6 active tasks, Agnes 5. And here you can also filter by a specific user or all users. And you see the chart of how many tasks are overdue. Maybe this is a good sign that there are some bottlenecks. And you can also add it to dashboard to add user list or add a chart, and everybody can get access from the dashboard. And finally, on the left, this is a general digest of all the tasks in total that are later completed, due this week, and you can play with all these parameters depending on what exactly you want to see. So that's pretty much everything that I wanted to share with you today. So please take your time for questions. I'm happy to get them, so please keep them coming. And of course, another thing that I would like to share is, of course, first let me double check the internet connection one more time. Okay. Let me turn it off. All right. So please let me know if there are any changes in the sound, if you can hear me well or not. If not, then please let me know in the question box. Okay, I see there are some changes happening. Okay, so you will have some questions for sure, maybe even after our session. And please, to check this out, please go to help and support at the bottom of your page where you can choose where would you like to go, to help portal or to community. In the help portal, this is a great way to communicate with our support team that is available 24/7. You can, for example, learn more about the baseline because this is something that you think you might use. So type in baseline and you should get the message. Just a second. So baseline. Oh, we don't have a dedicated article for that. Okay. So it's an analytics view. You also, once you start searching items in Help Center, you can check them in the knowledge base or in community. Community is a great place where you can find what other team members of WRIKE are writing. From the Help Center and particular article, you can always start a live chat with our support team, and I can assure you that they are very competent and they will be able to answer all of your questions. Submit a request or give them a call. And of course, make sure to check our other sessions. Also, once this session is finished, please leave your feedback. In case the sound was not good, then please also let me know, because in this case, I need to check it on my end because I need to make sure that the quality that you get is, of course, on top. And check our other sessions of Ask the Expert. Tomorrow we're going to talk about optimizing your workflow. This is going to be a focus on custom workflow, and if you're an admin, that would be even more relevant to you because you can create custom workflows. And we will be talking about the boards and the dashboards, how to work from these two views with custom statuses. Then we were going to talk on Wednesday about resource management, and finally, if you want to import large amount of data using Excel spreadsheet into WRIKE, then Thursday session is for you. So I see there are no questions, which I would assume the session was rather simple or it was very well explained. So I will take that as an answer. And of course, let me know if you would like to get a recording of the session. So you could watch it later on, you could write something down, or maybe something that you would like to repeat. So thank you very much for attending the session. I hope it was useful, you've learned something new, or you learned something more. And of course, I'll be looking forward to getting your feedback. So thank you very much. Again, let me know in the question box if you would like to get a recording of the session. And I hope to see you on our next Ask the Expert. So I wish you great rest of the week and stay productive and efficient with WRIKE. Bye.